Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language and Canal de International. Will begin with our top stories. The decision from the Minister of Secondary Education, Alova Lyonga, instructing school authorities to keep pregnant girls in school have sparked a variety of views, while others say it's normal for them to multiply strategies of dealing with such pregnant students. Some lament that its coming will dramatically increase the rate of unwanted pregnancy among young girls. And the governor of the Northwest region has announced that preparations are well on course for the celebration of the 50th anniversary of the National Day. Emi Atuni Adabile Afrique was speaking at the Administrative and Security Coordination meeting in Bamenda today. And to adjust to the health crisis and the Russian-Ukraine conflict, enterprises have been cancelled to use corporate social responsibility as a tool for performance and resilience. Those were major stories. Titus, right ahead. Good evening once more. A decision from the Minister of Secondary Education, Alova Lyonga, instructing school authorities to keep pregnant girls in schools have sparked varied views, while others say it's normal for them to multiply strategies of dealing to such pregnant students. Some lament that its coming will dramatically increase the rate of unwanted pregnancy among young girls. More on that story with our reporter, Sancha.
To this senior discipline master, Minister Nalova's letter appeared like a bomb blast. The decision, he says, is surprising and coming to render the young girls more wayward. This will lead us to a situation where children will take pregnancy as normal. Girls from Form 1 to Upper C could just fall into this. Aside from psychopedagogic aspects cited by the minister, we have to consider the social context of each. The phenomenon is in a geometric rise. At our arrival in this other institution, coincidentally, the principal is treating the file of a pregnancy case, the third for the academic year. And to him, the ministerial decision is rather laudable, coming to consolidate what the school has already been doing. Pregnancy is just for a while. I see it normal. But we, like the minister, are not encouraging that. She's simply asking that schools take care of such girls. It should not be a stumbling block for a girl to continue her studies. He underlines that aside the respect of the right to education for all, schools are equally reminded of their social role. The school must play that social responsibility of bringing back the girl into a state of belonging. But with the alarming rate of such early pregnancies, with an average of 5 to 6 students yearly in this college, the school administrators insist that the decision be reviewed with education stakeholders to provide lasting solutions. In reality, Madam the Minister should reconsider this decision. Educational stakeholders should sit and share views of the actors on the field to be able to adopt perfect solutions. The Ministry of Secondary Education, it should be recalled, instructs firmly that only the students concerned shall from now henceforth request for a maternity leave after 26 weeks of their pregnancy, if they desire.
And the governor of the Northwest region, Adabile Afrique, has announced that preparations are well on course for celebrations of the 50th anniversary of the National Day. May 20, Adabile Afrique was speaking at the Administrative and Security meeting that held today in Bamenda. More in the following story with our reporter, Saleh Sherifa.
Like any other region in the country, the Northwest is preparing for the Golden Jubilee of Cameroon's unification. Addressing at administrative and security meeting this Wednesday in Bamenda, the regional chief executive, without divulging details on how things were unfolding, says the Unity Day will take place just like similar festivities, like the Youth and Women's Days and other religious feasts.
And that our region remains an integral part of this one and indivisible country, Cameroon.
As for the recurring cases of gunshots, kidnappings, destruction of property, and killings, the governor says defense and security forces are doing all to arrest the situation.
In that regard, the head of state has given firm instructions to forces of law in order to take security measures to end all these atrocities. And is still calling to those who have taken guns against their fatherland to come back to good reasoning. And he has also instructed the mobilization, like they have started anywhere in the region, of the population to these groups, vigilante groups, to assist the security service in bringing back the situation to normalcy in the region.
Making indirect allusion to the group of women from Borong village who recently staged a sit in strike in his courtyards, Lily Lafrique condemned the growing phenomenon of land disputes in the Northwest region. At press time, the in-camera security component of the Day 1 conclave was still ongoing.
And in prelude to National Day celebration come May 2022, March past rehearsals have intensified in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. Students from all levels of education fine-tuning their march past styles, coordinated by a group of socialists. More in the following story.
Students standing in straight lines, moving in colorful uniforms with joy and happiness as they brace up to celebrate the National Day. Students selected from institutions across the 7th subdivision of Yaoundé, both primary, secondary and higher education, as well as associations and organizations. It is the first civilian march past practice in Yaoundé, in prelude of the National Day this May 11, which, according to the organization committee, the number this year has been reduced because of the limited time allocated for the march past. There is 7 times 7 per square with a total number of 49, 14 primary schools, 14 secondary, 2 professional schools, 11 higher institutions, in which primary schools will be marching with patriotic songs for they should return and use in your daily life.
Let us now journey into the heart of the judicial police. We stay in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, to see how it handles the different kinds of crimes and its changing forms today in the country. For sub-directorates are there for the different services, identification, and many more. In the following story, with our reporter, Beatrice Ngamu.
This lady left dead following an attack by an unknown criminal at her home. The judicial police alerted. The case is handed to the Sub-Directorate of Forensic and Judicial Identity. The technicians of the Judicial Identity Service in charge of criminal investigation at the crime scene.
Ils sont à pied d'œuvre pour la recherche des traces et indices.
They note the positions as they look around for signs, marks, indications that can be of her. What they take back to their data bank, the forensic service in charge of analysis of the indications and traces found at the crime scene. The coding is done here. Easier when there are fingerprints. The findings are brought to the laboratory for proper clearance. We are inside the laboratory of the Technical and Scientific Police of the Judicial Police Unit, situated at the Ligesono neighborhood in Yaoundé. The service in charge of criminality then moved to action. With information, fingerprints and all, they track the supposed criminal wherever he or she is in the country.
We have equipment which permits a criminality plan to collect on the indications we can have after analysis tied to the perpetrators who will then face the law.
Sensitizing the population also not to touch anything at crime scenes as it can obstruct investigation.
This briefly is what the police does to respond to the exigencies of users.
Judicial police, like other police services, reiterates their readiness for the security and safety of the population. This in line with this year's theme of the National Day celebration, come May the 28th.
And to adjust to the health crisis and the Russian-Ukraine crisis or conflicts, enterprises have been counselled to use corporate social responsibility as a tool for performance and resilience. This was during a press briefing today in Douala to raise more awareness on the stakes involved with companies failing to implement the CSR policies. More on the story with our reporter Gladys Ambu Tiba.
Corporate social responsibility has become a common practice across industries with activities aimed at mitigating risk, enhance reputation, and contribute to business results. With the health pandemic and the Russian-Ukrainian conflict that has affected businesses, corporate social responsibility experts believe it is time to anticipate and use corporate social responsibility as a tool for performance and resilience.
What the company take and make the policy to have good governance, to have good treatment of employees, to protect environment, to have good policies to consumer. That is the reason of this conference, because in Cameroon, many companies don't take care about CSR.
At a press briefing in Douala on May 11, 2022, the corporate social responsibility experts emphasized on the need for enterprises to play an active and leading role in achieving sustainable development goals and the 2030 agenda by adjusting to the current health, political, climate, and food crisis. To improve key performance indicators, therefore, enterprises must align with laws and international standards, dialogue with stakeholders, ensure enterprise governance, and ameliorate their community development strategies.
When you have a good policy to the CSR, you need to take the preoccupation of the stakeholders. You have good governance. When you have good governance, you attract investors.
The briefing is in prelude to the May 30 to June 10 training for enterprises on how they can adjust to the ongoing crisis by properly implementing their corporate social responsibility strategies.
And a vaccination campaign against poliomyelitis has been announced to begin on May 13, 2020. Calls have been multiplied for parents to get their children vaccinated against polio. According to the Littoral Regional Delegates, for public health strategies have been put in place to ensure a smooth kickoff of the vaccination campaign. More in the following story with our reporter Stephanie Chin.
The Littoral Regional Delegation of Public Health has outlined strategies ahead of an enlarged poliomyelitis vaccination campaign stated to begin from May 13 to the 16th of May. The second phase is stated from June 10 to June 13.
The first strategy is door-to-door, where we have to visit every household to be able to target the children aged 0 to 5 years. Then the second strategy is at the fixed post at the level of the health facility. The third strategy is mobile or outreach, where we have to go at the level of the community.
Speaking to stakeholders, Leonard Ewane said the campaign targets children from 0 to 5 years.
This campaign aims at vaccinating children less than 5 years. So, and we have 4 main interventions as far as this campaign is concerned. The first intervention is the administration of the oral polio vaccine. That will be administered to children aged 0 to 59 months. And then the second intervention is the administration of vitamin A to children aged 6 months to 59 months. And then the third intervention is to deworm children from 12 months to 59 months. And the fourth is to carry out a head count of children less than 3 months who do not have birth certificates.
During a pre-campaign press briefing that took place at the Littoral Regional Governor's Office, stakeholders were told that parents should be receptive to the vaccination teams that have been assigned for the campaign. Polio is transmitted through the feces of contaminated persons and can result to death.
And some Cameroonian music artists have begun reaping the fruits of their labor as they can now control their income from different sources, both online and offline. The artists are gradually becoming a cultural entrepreneur. More in the following story. Read a reporter, Hysen Cha.
Many artists in Cameroon live a hand-to-mouth life despite their numerous sources of income. And with the coming of the digital era, many can hardly manage their author's rights or generate income online through their music. Intermediaries most often benefit more than the artists themselves. These, amongst others, are the irregularities the Kulia project, launched by the German Technical Corporation, is aimed at redressing in Cameroon.
Artists who have very irregular incomes, who don't know how to deal with the choice they have made about having a life of an artist. It's very complicated to actually earn very irregular income and yet to be able to sustain yourself and to be independent to continue producing music in this case or any art.
The goal of the initiative is to render music artists cultural entrepreneurs like their colleagues in other parts of the world, not limiting them to entertainers.
So the objective of Kulia is to actually show a way that it is possible, and that it is possible in collaboration with banks, with mentor, and with also a larger group of artists so that everybody can benefit from it.
And some 18 Cameroonian artists are already enjoying the fruits of this financial management platform.
First and foremost, this platform has brought us together, first of all, as artists. We can collaborate with each other, and this platform has got us to know different talents that are going to make our music much more enticing. Because the more people you have working together on a musical project, the better it sounds.
Just like the musicians, the platform equally has as objective to enable journalists diversify their sources of income that can render them autonomous and viable.
And that report brings us to the end of this edition of the Primetime Newscast in the English language in Canal International. Thanks so much for watching. We have the brief coming up next week. Lil Piejou, so we'll be back same time tomorrow. Good night.